Okay, 7th grade, we are starting a new chapter, and our first section is section 4.1. We're going to talk about ratios. So a ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities, and there are a couple different ways to write ratios, and that's what we're going to talk about first here. So we are going to start with, we have a basket of fruit that contains 6 apples, 4 bananas, 3 oranges, and our job is to write a ratio in all 3 forms. So the first one, the order is very important when writing ratios. So we've got bananas to apples. So I'm just gonna, bananas to apples. And there are 6 apples and 4 bananas, so I have to make sure that I go in the right order. So 4 to 6. The other thing is that we do want our ratio to be simplified. We've been practicing this with fractions. So I would divide each of those by a 2. And then that would result in 2/3. So the ratio of bananas to apples is 2 to 3. Another way that I can write it is 2 to 3 with a colon, or with the word 2 to 3. So your answer needs to have all 3 of those. Okay, the next one, it says bananas and apples to oranges. So bananas plus apples to oranges. So bananas are 4, apples are 6, and then oranges are 3. So our ratio is 10 to 3. Now this is one situation where we do not write them as a mixed number. Ratios need to stay in this form. So 10 to 3, 10 to 3, or 10 to 3. Now this next one is oranges to total pieces of fruit. And when they say total, that means you have to include the oranges too. So we've got 6 apples, 4 bananas, and 3 oranges. This is our total. And how many oranges were there? There were 3 oranges. So this is going to be 3 to 13. So our ratio is 3 to 13, 3 to 13, and 3 to 13. Can express it in those 3 ways. Okay, so the next one talks about writing ratios in simplest form. We've already done that with our first one actually, but sometimes we have much larger numbers. So it says at Franklin Middle School there are 252 students in the 7th grade and 9 7th grade teachers. Write the ratio of students to teachers in simplest form. So one thing that I think is really helpful is to use words first. So the ratio is going to be students to teachers. Okay, so how many students were there? Well, there were 252 students, and there were only 9 teachers. So I guess what I would try to do first in this problem is try to divide it by 9 and see if we can get that to come out nice. So I'm going to take 252 off to the side here, and I'm just going to try dividing it by 9. So it does not go into 2, but it goes into 25 twice. And then it goes into 72 8 times. So if I divide the top by 9, I would get 28. And if I divide the bottom by 9, I get 1. So the ratio of students to teachers is 28 to 1. Now that's simplified. It gives you a much better idea of how many kids are in each class. So that's why another reason why we simplify those ratios. The next one is comparing ratios. It says tell whether the wallet size photo or the portrait size photo has a greater width of a ratio of width to length. So we are doing the ratio of width to length. And they want to know which one. Is it the wallet size or the portrait size? So we actually don't even need to worry about those other ones. So let's take a peek here. The first one that we'll do is the wallet. Oop. So the wallet's width is 3.5 and the wallet's length is 5. And then the portrait is my other one, and the width of the portrait is 8. And having this labeled here really helps me remember where I'm supposed to put those. And then the 10 would go there. Now, we can't make comparisons if we don't have the same denominators. And so one thing that we can do here, I noticed that this has a denominator of 5. So I can multiply both those, and this would be 7 to 10 is 8 to 10. So I know they use this word greater ratio, but if you were just thinking about these as fractions, which one's bigger? Well, the 8 to 10 is bigger. So this one has a greater ratio. So you would say the portrait has a greater ratio. So we're going to be using a lot of the skills that we did use when we worked with fractions and decimals when we are doing this unit as well.